Hey guys, I told you I was going to have a video uploaded Sunday night. I'm working on it right now because I am way behind schedule. I'm outside, I'm freezing, but I don't want to wake Josh up because he's sleeping. So I decided to come out here because I've got a lot of hummingbirds out right now around me. But anyways, so I was telling you guys about energy, and I was talking about us taking on ancestral energy, like maybe a piece of our soul is passed down from ancestor to ancestor. So I was talking about a little story about, I think it would have been my mom's great grandma, so my great great grandma. So there's a thing I've always done, and I never really paid too much attention to it. It was just a weird quirk I have. I noticed that if I'm stressed out, or if maybe I'm eating or something like that, I will rub my fingers together like really weird, like in a circular motion. And I don't know why. I have no clue. I can't tell you why. I don't have no damn trauma. I mean, I don't know. So like I will sit there. Sometimes when I'm eating, I eat right-handed, but I'll eat. And then while I'm chewing my food, I will notice that I will do this with my fingers, like rub my middle finger, my first finger. I also have noticed it when I've been really, really stressed out and I'm like maybe sitting at the bar, that if my hand is on my knee or something like that, I will be doing that also. I'll be rubbing my fingers together while my hand is resting on my leg. Sometimes it's when people are talking to me. Sometimes it's just maybe when I'm driving. I mean, it's just weird. And I never thought much about it till quite a few years ago. I noticed one of my children, adult children, we were eating at my house, and I noticed, and I don't want to say which one it is, but I noticed that one of my kids, adult kids, was eating and doing the same thing, rubbing their fingers together, okay? So what's crazy about this is when I was talking to my mom about this, like I noticed that one of my kids does this, I do this, I don't know what it means, I don't know what it is. My mom's comment was, that's weird. And I'm like, well, yeah, I know it's weird, duh. But no, she said her great grandma, which is my great great grandma, used to carry like a piece of silk or something in her pocket. It was a piece of silk or like a hanky or something, like the silk hankies. And she would put it in her hand and just do this. She'd pull it out of her pocket, and she'd have the piece of silk or whatever in her fingertips, and she would rub it just like I do, just like one of my children does, but would do the same thing. And I said, that's really weird, because I don't hold a piece of silk, or I don't hold a piece of satin, or I don't have a hanky with my name on it or whatever, and I'm not sitting there rubbing it, but I am doing the same thing she did. And so is one of my children. And I think that, I always say, get back to your roots. I always say we carry our ancestors' DNA. We carry also maybe some of their memories, some of their quirks, some of their maybe sayings that we don't know where we came up with the saying, but we say it. We carry part of them with us down our lineage. And I think that being the fact that we have a mom and a dad, and they both have souls, and then they have us, and we have both our mom and dads. So we're carrying souls, pieces of souls all the way down the lineage. That's what I'm assuming. And it's not just because, because I think that way. It's because there's other things I've noticed about other people, like people I've never knew, maybe their parent, didn't know that was their parent, should I say. I didn't know when I met someone who their parent was, but I noticed little quirks or things about them, and later on I find out who their parent is, and I'm like, oh my God, their parent does that, or their grandparent does that. That's so bizarre. So another thing I want to talk about is, okay, so a lot of people, when they move into a new home, they have a house blessing, or they have a priest or a preacher come and bless their house, or they might do like cleansing of their house with sage or whatever. People do that because of the energy that might be there from the prior owner or prior owners, if it hasn't been done before. So if I push pause, it's because my dog, Clyde dog, is like standing at the door, get ready to knock on it because he wants to go in, I think. But so if I push pause, that's why. So I don't want to say who this person is or how they were related to me. But I just want you to know that this person died in their 60s. He passed away really close at one time in our lives, and stuff. And his house, of course, was sold. He actually died at home, but his house was sold to someone else. And I drive by there every day, technically. Actually, I drive by there every day. And what's crazy is that I started noticing the new tenant outside a lot during the warmer months, and looked like a normal, typical person, nothing strange. As time was going by, I started noticing that new homeowner dressing very similar, almost identical to the person who had once lived there who had passed away. Then I started noticing that tenant letting their hair grow out. And not long, but it was like longer in the back, and they were wearing a ball hat, which I'd never seen him in a ball hat before. But he was wearing a ball hat, and I thought, that's strange. So then one day I drive by, and he is mowing the lawn, push mowing the lawn. He has shoes on, no socks on, shorts, like the jean shorts, kind of like jean shorts or whatever, basketball shorts, whatever. I can't remember that day. But he had a muscle shirt on that was like yellow, and it stood out like crazy. I thought, that is weird. And he had the ball hat on, and his hair was longer. And if I wouldn't have took a double take, I would have thought it was the previous owner, because that's how much I had seen that guy change. And he resembled the person I once knew and loved. And I'm like, whoa, this is freakish. This is really crazy. And I thought maybe it was just all in my head. So every day, for 3 years or whatever it's been now, I've drove by there. And when I do see that person either out on the porch or mowing their lawn or whatever, they are dressed almost to a T of the prior owner. And I think that's very bizarre. So it makes me think that the truth of cleansing your home or saging your house, doing a house cleaning, or having a preacher bless it, not that there's bad spirits in there, but that we possibly take on energy from those who had lived in our house prior. So I think that's a very bizarre story, and I've done my own research on this, and I've seen other things happen too. Like, I read a story about a woman that moved into a home, and there had been an older lady that lived there prior, but this girl that just recently moved in the home was young. She was in her 20s or whatever, and the woman that had passed away was like, say, in her 60s or 70s. But this older woman had a particular saying she would say that, I guess maybe from wherever she was from originally, Southern or whatever, it was some kind of saying. The neighbor became friends with the 20-some-year-old girl, the new tenant, and evidently this tenant, the new tenant of the home, started saying that same quote. And the neighbor was shocked by it. Like, whoa, where did you hear that? And the girl was like, I don't know, just something that popped in my head. So you can't tell me that when we move into a new home, especially if it's had prior owners, that we don't pick up some of that energy, because like I said, energy never dies. It can only change shape and form. It exists forever. Our souls are pure energy. Our hearts have energy. So energy can't be destroyed. So where does that energy go? After you pass, yeah, you go to heaven or the afterlife or whatever you call it. But not only do you go to the afterlife, but parts of you still exist. You make an imprint on the places you've been, the people you've been around, maybe where you worked. You have an imprint of energy there also. So I just thought that was some crazy stuff to think about. And it's weird because whenever my guides talk about something, there's a reason for it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what this means, but I'm going to share it with you guys. I haven't shared it with anybody else yet, but it's kind of been creeping me out a little bit. So probably about a month and a half ago, and I don't know if this is a premonition or not, because I have been having premonitions a lot. And they're not bad ones or anything, but they're coming true. And it's been recent. And it's kind of freaky a little bit, because I will be sitting in there. People might call it deja vu, but I can tell you what's going to happen next. That's the difference. Is sometimes when you're in deja vu, you don't remember what's going to happen next until it happens, right? No, I can tell you what's going to happen next. I can tell you if somebody's going to walk in the room with the red shirt and blue high-top tennis shoes. It's been almost freaky to me because I've experienced deja vu, and I have had some premonitional kind of things, but not to this extent. Not to this extent to where it feels so real. Maybe somebody's saying something that I actually thought they said it, but then when the time comes, and I'll explain that in a second. But I have been seeing 911 a lot, okay? I always see triple digits, 1111, 333, 444, 222, 111, whatever. Everywhere I go, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what time of day. It'll be on the back of a license plate. It'll be on somebody's mailbox. And it's just fluke that I see it. Or my game score is 111, you know? I mean, just like weird stuff all the time. Or my receipts from the store is $1.11 change. Or my bill is $11.11. I mean, it's just excuse my French. Oh, hang on, I gotta push pause. My dog's running. Sorry about that. I had to get him because I didn't know where he was running to. So what's crazy is I've been seeing 911. Okay. Now in the past, whenever I've seen 911, something's gonna happen. I can't say if it's gonna be good or bad because it's been both in different aspects. But this past month and a half, I've been seeing 911, whether it's a phone number or the time on the clock, for whatever reason. And not only have I seen 911, I've seen 311 and 411. All over the place. Different weird freaking places. I can't even tell you how many places, seriously. But it got me thinking because last night I was like, I seen the 911 again. I'm like, this is freaking weird. What does this 911 mean? I keep thinking, is it something pertaining to me? Is it something pertaining to somebody I care about? What is this 911 for? And then I remembered, duh, this is the 9th month. The 11th is Wednesday. Or wait, 11th is Wednesday. I'm headed to Indy that day. So I'm going to take extra precaution just to be safe because I know I don't want to believe in weird juju stuff, but I'm telling you what, I'm heading to Indy for a couple of days on 9/11. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. Like, is there some kind of warning sign or is this something good that's going to happen? I have no clue. We'll find out and I will let you guys all know. So what I want to tell you about this other cool story is I got to be careful because I can't use people's names. So if I use some weird name, that's not the actual person. I'm trying to help protect them, I guess, or not let them know what the story is. So there's this guy that we are friends with. Well, my boyfriend's friends with. Okay. This is what's creepy. This is just one of the scenarios of premonition stuff. Okay. So I find out that our friend Bob, I'll say his name is, Bob was going to have a couple stents put in. All right. And so he went to the hospital, wherever he went, and was having them stents put in. He messaged us to let us know he's going to be staying all night because for observation, what have you, whatever. So Josh comes home and he's like, well, everything went well with the stents and they're going to keep him all night for observation. He's pissed. He wants to come home. I'm like, I figures, da 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 da. So Josh is telling me about it. So he'll be home tomorrow and then I'm going to go help him do something tomorrow when he gets home. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So the next day I go to work. Just so happens somebody who knows Bob, and this is a fake name, Bob, comes in and I said, hey, Bob had his stent thing done yesterday. He's going to get out of the hospital today. They just kept him overnight for observation. Well, his friend was like, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that was all going on. And I said, and I would have sworn Josh told me this also the night before. I said, yeah, here in about a few weeks, between 3 and 5 weeks, I said 4 weeks actually. In about 4 weeks, he's going to have another procedure done of some kind to do with his heart. And his friend was like, oh, okay, I didn't even realize that was going on. And I'm like, yeah, that's what Josh told me last night. So I come home. Josh comes home from work, and I told him I ran into Bob's friend, right? And I'm like, yeah, I told him that about the stents and about here in the next few weeks, here in the next 4 weeks, he's going to have another procedure done on his heart, blah, 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 blah. Josh got mad at me. He says, Charity, I never told you that. And I'm like, yes, you did last night when we were in the kitchen talking. He's like, no, I did not. After this, he's done. He don't have no more procedures. I'm like, you told me in about 4 weeks he was going to have another procedure. And Josh was like, no, I did not. That never came out of my mouth. You got the story wrong. You need to go tell his friend that you misunderstood what I said. I said he'll be out, the next day. They're keeping him for observation. He said, I never mentioned anything about another procedure. I said, Josh, I would have swore to God you said that to me. In 4 weeks, he's having another procedure done on his heart. So I felt horrible. Well, I never seen Bob's friend, right? After that. So I think it was Friday night. Josh goes to hang out with Bob for a minute and to help, or no, it was Saturday, it was yesterday. Goes to help Bob with something. And while he's there, Bob says, well, here in about 4 weeks at the end of September, I guess I got to go have another procedure done on my heart. And Josh come in the house and he kind of looked white as a ghost. And he looks at me and he says, Charity, he's like, you remember when you swore up and down that I told you Bob was having another procedure in 4 weeks? And you swore it came right out of my mouth and I know it did not. He says, Bob just got the phone call on Friday that he has to have another procedure done in 4 weeks. Well, at the end of September. And that's about 4 weeks. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he just found out yesterday. You somehow knew that prior to me ever knowing it. And see, sometimes that's how my visions work. Is like I might be sitting in the kitchen talking to Josh, and all of a sudden I don't hear anything Josh is saying. My dog's whining. I don't hear anything Josh is saying, but it's almost like me and Josh are still carrying on a conversation, and bits and pieces of his information still coming through, and I'm hearing some of the things he's saying, but I'm also hearing other things. That has happened numerous times. 2 weeks ago, it happened again when I was at Ball Hospital. I'm in the emergency room with someone, and they're in a room, and I'm in there, and there's like 3 other people in there with me. The one person was sitting down beside me, and one of them was standing up, and all of a sudden, it was like that deja vu feeling, right? I'm like, holy shit, I've been here before. I've dreamt about this. Something is crazy. I remember her having that collar on. I remember her having that collar on standing by the door. I remember her sitting over there talking. I remember this person having this stuff hooked up to them. And I started to freak out a little bit because in the dream or premonition or whatever I'd had prior, the other girl stood up, walked over. Stop, my dog. Hang on a minute, guys. Anyways, so the one girl gets up in my premonition, walks over to the door with the other girl, and they're both looking out in the hallway periodically. And then I remember all that in my premonition. Stop, Clyde. I remember all that in my premonition. And the next thing you know is I remember the rest of what happens next. I also stand up. I go stand with them, and we start walking out in the hall, and I go the opposite direction of them, and them two walk a different direction than I, because I was going to go take a cigarette break. This is in my premonition. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Because I remember something happening to the person that was in the ER room to see the doctor. Something not good. Like something happens. And I thought, no, Charity, you need to change this. And I did. So when them 2 girls got up, I got up. And instead of walking the opposite direction to go have a cigarette break, I walked with them. And nothing bad happened. So I've had premonitions like that before. Some people call it deja vu, but usually when you have deja vu, as the deja vu's happening, sometimes you can't remember what's going to happen next, but you have that feeling of, I've done this before, I've been here before, I remember this, I remember that, but you don't remember what's going to happen next. This is different because it's a premonition. I all of a sudden felt the deja vu feeling, but then all of a sudden I remember the rest of what was happening. What this person had on, what that person had on, what the one person getting up and moving to the door, me getting up and moving to the door, them going down the hall the opposite direction of me, and something happening. So I changed that, and nothing did happen, luckily, because I did not go the way my premonition showed me. I went the same way. It was like in my head, my guides were saying, don't go the opposite direction. Stay with the people that you're with. Don't go a different direction. So there's just been a whole bunch of crazy stuff happening spiritually to me, and I want to do readings so bad. I really do, but I'm nervous. I'm so nervous because, listen, I know this sounds crazy. It's a day in a life of crazy. I know, but I've been having such vivid spiritual contact that I am seeing like full body apparitions. I am seeing literally like a human sitting there at the bar when they're not. I'm seeing things like that. You know, used to it'd be like I could kind of see through them and I knew it was a spirit. But there's times I hear them say things that I literally feel like it's a person that just said that. And I will ask, did you just say something? They're like, no. And I'm like, oh shit, it's a spirit. But like today at the bar, and anybody that watches the cameras or would watch my cameras would see what happens. I'm walking into the kitchen. All of a sudden I seen a man sitting at the bar right there in the corner, and he had a hat on and he had his hood up and he had his beard. And all of a sudden I said, oh shit, like that. And then I realized there was no one there. I realized it, but it was so real that I thought somebody might have came in the back door and I didn't have it locked, or Ethan didn't get it locked. You know, he was helping do the fryer today. So I'm thinking, oh shit, somebody came in when I wasn't watching. But there was, when I said, oh shit, and jumped and looked, nobody was there. But I had seen him when I was walking into the kitchen. It's weird. I think the veil right now is very, very thin. I know the veil gets thinner and thinner towards the holidays because our loved ones are coming down more. Our loved ones are visiting more during, you know, from like September on through like the first of the year and Valentine's Day. There is a high spiritual veil because I notice my gift gets stronger during these months. I also am seeing these apparitions like full-bodied and like they would be customers in the bar. And I'm seeing and hearing full-on sentences from some spirits that sounds like somebody in another room is talking to me. And I'm like, are you in there talking to me? What'd you say? And they're like, I didn't say nothing, but I hear it. So yeah, so that kind of thing is happening. So be prepared, because I have a feeling that a lot of you guys are going to get signs from your loved ones, or maybe dreams about your loved ones coming up. I know September 17th is the full moon. They say that's a time that the veil's thin. So just watch out for your signs and symbols. If you do have dreams or premonitions, write them down, because as soon as the deja vu or the premonitions happen, you can go back and look and be like, oh my God, this did take place, this did take place, this did take place. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's a day in the life of my crazy, but I like to share these things with you guys because I want you to realize if you're going through similar things like I am, or you've experienced similar things like I have, you're not alone. And we're not crazy. We're not crazy at all. I mean, I could sit here and take a damn IQ test for you if you wanted, or even a psychological evaluation. But I'm just saying that pay attention, because these next few months are going to bring, I think, a lot of spiritual stuff, a lot of out of this world kind of things. And I mean, I don't know. I guess it's because the veil's thin. I have no clue. But I hope you liked my stories. I just had to share them with you. And I don't know. I'm hoping that. Am I rubbing? I was rubbing his balls, guys. I was petting my dog so he wouldn't start talking to me, and I didn't realize I just violated my dog. I was rubbing his nuts and didn't realize. I thought it was his tail. Dear God, it is a day in the life of my crazy. Oh God. All right. All I got to say is I love you guys. Thank you for sticking around. I'm going to go wash my damn hand. Anyways, I love you all. Believe, believe, believe. And I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.